I'm so grateful that under the current circumstances we can still enjoy these beautiful sacred spaces that we call home. I'm standing here in the historic setting of the Trinity Chapel at St Paul's Church in Bedford. For generations, these stones have been soaked in the prayers of the faithful. Behind me, you'll see a stained glass window depicting two very special travelling companions of mine, Saints Francis and Clare. Francis and Clare lived in the 13th century in the Italian city of Assisi and have inspired generations with their radical lives of faith. St Francis, like me, was no stranger to a brick trowel. He had a great reverence for places of worship, rebuilding and restoring several with his own hands. But they weren't the only places that he saw as holy. In fact, I think that a window is just the right place to depict Saints Francis and Clare, as they invite us to take our place in a threshold, in an in-between place of sorts. That place which stands between the sacred and the profane, which recognises that even beautiful chapels like this Trinity Chapel are illuminated by the sunlight that comes in from outside. St Francis, like all pioneers, had that remarkable gift of standing on the outside edge of the inside circle, of calling us to expand our horizons. In Psalm 119 we read that the heavens declare the glory of God. In one of his most well-known writings, St Francis praised God for brother sun and sister moon. He was able to call the sun, the moon, the animals and the birds his brothers and sisters because of this expanded horizon. And even more radically, he took a far more gentle and respectful approach to dialogue with people of other faiths, even during the time of the Crusades. His legacy calls us to a renewed relationship with God, with our neighbour and with this created world that we live in. As we face what might be one of the hardest winters some of us have known in our lifetime, I'm drawn to Francis' conception of a sibling relationship, even with those parts of created life that we might find hard or challenging, even with sister bodily death, that fragility which Western culture has often tried to hide from us, but we've been starkly reminded of in this time. Towards the end of his canticle, Francis reminds us that there's a death which is in some senses worse than bodily death. The second death, the dying in mortal sin, the death of unfinished business or a life not fully lived. My hope and my prayer for each of us and for us communally as a church is that we'll go into 2021 firmly resolved not to let our relationships with God, with neighbour, with creation be shaped by fear, but rather that we'll learn to trust, to risk, to wander, to let go and let God, as my friends in the 12-step movement would say.